Hey guys, I'm here to give my DMT trip report. It's going to be a bit different than the other trip reports you see out there because I am able to release DMT in my brain at will. And I will put the method at the end of this, so if you skip to the second half of the video, that will contain the method itself, and I can get you there. And if I can't, or if you can't get there based on my video, I will help you personally. Just message me. I'm on Facebook at Be Still VoiceWorks. I'm on Instagram at Be Still VoiceWorks and Twitter at, you guessed it, Be Still VoiceWorks. Okay. So let's get right into it. So since I'm able to release it in my brain, I just got done doing my breathing method, a lot similar to the Wim Hof method, but just a bit different, some Kachari Mudra, some tweaks in there. So I'm sitting there. Next thing you know, I don't remember that I was doing this whole thing at all. I was in outer space. At least my perception felt like it was outer space. And the problem with the whole thing is that I thought I had always existed in this world that I was in. I looked all around me and all I saw was space and stars and planets and just absolute beauty everywhere. And myself, I knew that I was actually an organic rocket ship. I don't know how I knew, but I had memories of all my life being that rocket ship. I knew my parents, I knew the things that I did growing up, I knew I went to school. Don't ask me how a rocket ship went to school because I have no idea. All I know is that this is the experience that I had. Okay, so I floated around in space for 3 or 4 weeks. And yes, the whole entire trip itself was only about 5 minutes. But this experience lasted weeks and the memories lasted years. That's something about DMT that happens is you get completely disassociated from what you're doing. Time and space, they're not relevant there. They're not really relevant anyway, but in this especially, they're not relevant. So, at one point during this experience, you know, the whole thing was peace, which was wonderful because a lot of times when you go into a trip or something, it's not peaceful. And I think it means that you are peaceful. So I'm sitting there and all of a sudden, I start drifting backwards like this, and I'm upside down. And my body starts doing like this. Psst, psst, pieces start ripping out. And those pieces turn into the pages of a book. And the book opens wide. And the pages start to lay down. And then all of a sudden I'm this book, full of all this knowledge. And this book was about my insides, here, not in the trip world, but it was about my destiny, my personal insides. Okay? So what happened is I became all the words in this book, and this book continued to float around in outer space as well. And what happened is, I think I may have gained some knowledge from this because when I came back from that was the very first time after my car accident that I started to feel that whole feeling of where I am everything, and I'm part of everything, and I'm existing in the now, in this moment. And after that I was able to contact the Akashic Records as well, and that's my other video, how to get into the Akashic Records. It's all based on this initial major DMT trip that I had. And I released it with Breathwork and with a certain mudra that I created based on the Kachari. It's not the Kachari. I've had a lot of people complain that I'm not doing the proper Kachari, and that's right, I'm not. Okay? So during this experience, nothing else happened. I just came back, I woke up, and I was like, oh, I completely forgot that I was tripping out on this. You know, I didn't even remember I was doing it. So I started doing this breathwork every single night. Some nights it's completely different. So some nights I'll get there breathing and I'll just see a flower in the middle of my perception. Little blue lights flickering around out here, right? Little blue ones, like dot, 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 blue, 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 blue. But right in the middle will be this flower. It'll be a circle, then all of a sudden these different shapes around it, and it will expand and turn a lot like a kaleidoscope. And that's mostly what I experienced through this breathwork. So don't expect to always blast off into outer space. It has a lot to do with what you're eating, where your mindset is, things like that. But another one that was kind of completely disassociative and weird, I was in this village, like this town, kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Halloween Town. There's one major building in the town, in the square. And that's what it was. It was one major building. And I knew I was the mayor of that building, okay? But I had no body, I had no form. It's kind of like this, where you see from your eyes, but you know you have limbs. In the video, I didn't have any limbs. Or in the trip, I didn't have any limbs. I'm recording a video now. But I was the mayor of a shopping cart village. Every single person in the village was actually a shopping cart. And they were lining themselves up, and I was responsible for them getting in line. You know how the buggy guy at the grocery store puts them all in line and pushes them around? It was that kind of thing, and I was in charge of that. And I was the mayor, and it was kind of weird because gravity, for one, as I just remembered this, gravity, instead of being straight up and down, was sideways. Everything was that way, and I think it's because I was laying down, but in this world that I was in, gravity was completely sideways. So when I would jump, I could almost feel my body on the bed sliding around like this, but I could jump and I would go like that, and it was real crazy, man, real crazy. But they're few and far between, these deep trips. I think it takes a lot of work to get there. And hang on, the camera just moved. I'm gonna make sure it's still on. All right, guess what? We're good. Okay. So, for the most part, what'll happen is I'll lay down. I'll do all my breath work first. It's a good 15 to 30 minute process, the breath work. So I'll lay there, I'll get my breath work done, and usually it's just colors. So I've never actually taken DMT itself. I have done 100x salvia, which is supposedly a DMT. It's exactly the same, they say. So this was back in college. I did the salvia, and that was a crazy experience. I didn't remember who I was for like 3 weeks because I thought the trip world was the real world and this world was the fake world. And that's why I didn't do dissociatives again. But this was the closest thing I've ever felt to that. So that's how I even learned to do it. I was trying to get to that same point. And you'll know you're there because right before you get there, and this is a similar experience that people talk about with DMT, you'll get this huge vibration, this sound. It's like, like this, just the sound of the universe, the sound of Om, the sound of everything, what it's made of. It's just the sound of creation. That's what it is. And so I started being able to get to that point, and then I started being able to get on further from there. So usually I lay in bed and my whole body will feel like it disappears. And I'll do my breath work, I'll do my mudra, and then I'll get these patterns and these shapes, and then every now and then I can get up and just walk around, my body staying on the bed. It's a great way to get into astral projection. So this is a multi-useful tool that I have here. So let's go now over to the pavilion, and I'll lead you through the breath work, okay? Thanks. So this breathing exercise can take about 15 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes if you're on the advanced side. So the whole point of this is what we're going to want to do is saturate our body with oxygen to try to get our blood oxygen saturation as high as possible. And we don't want to let our breath all the way out, okay? So we're going to take as deep a breath as we can in, pull the belly, and when you let the breath out, just let it fall. Because we don't want to push all of that carbon dioxide and everything out. We really want to use all of these molecules for this. Then what we're going to do at the end is I'm going to take my tongue. Now imagine that this is the tongue, okay? This is the back side close to the uvula and the throat. This is the front side close to your teeth. And what we're going to do is try to raise the back and push it up against the top of our nasal pharynx area. Block off our throat and block off the nasal passages with the tongue. Fill it up and push it as hard up in there as you can. And you'll know it's right when you start to feel like you've licked a battery. So at the end, what we're going to do is do as much breathing as possible, and the reason for this is that we want to be able to hold our breath, because for some reason in my method, we have to hold our breath, but it's okay, you can hold your breath for a long time. So the breathing goes like this. Set a timer and do that for at least 15 minutes on the first time. If you can only do 10 minutes because you start to get kind of woozy, that's okay. Just do what you can. Go at your own pace. Immediately after the alarm goes off, on your final breath, take the tongue and push it up in there as hard as you can and squeeze your body. So push it up. Squeeze it and focus towards the very center of your closed eyes. Focus towards the very center and just squeeze your body, push the tongue. And what you'll start to notice is this vibration goes and you'll hear it, and then you'll start to see little shapes, and then you can further develop this as you need and as your body allows you to. So if you have any questions, PM me, Facebook, Be Still Voiceworks, and I'll take care of you. Thanks guys, love you, bye.